Whoa, sorry. I just saw the reflection on the ocean.
You just saw the reflection of yourself and it was fun to look at?
It's like the...
Okay.
Hey.
Get out of there.
Well, the people out there in viewing land haven't seen our faces in a few weeks, so we've got lots to talk about. Sue us.
Boo. Well, hello and welcome to another weekly check-in video as we build Wandering Aimfully publicly for you to see and hear and believe and trust and love and just hugs all around. Oh, public displays of affection. Does it count if it's on video?
I felt your body sweat. Like I felt you immediately be like, I'm touching someone's sweat.
So we are going to talk about the pre-order madness that we've been through the past 48 hours, which has just been a nightmare, but you get to hear about it.
Our vacation that we went on.
Yep.
Having a Tesla
Model 3. What? That's like the whitest thing we could do.
Back. Go 3. We're also going to talk about the...
Don't you do the thumb. Do not do the thumb.
The content drop-off if you stop posting consistently and the fear around that. We are also going to talk about...
Design. I cheated.
Dang, you did cheat. Everyone saw it.
All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed another weekly check-in video. Here we go. We just got back from a week of family vacation, and I will tell you that we are notoriously good at scheduling vacation in the middle of product launches.
That's our MO. That's our move. Listen, you guys know we have this whole theory about not stopping life just to do work.
Work-life blend. That's what I always say.
How'd you come up with that?
Yeah, I know. Well, I did work, and then
you put it down. It felt like I was really strong. Try it again. Oh, come on. Okay, get it together.
Anywho.
What I was saying was, we always think that that's gonna go well. However, it ends up, sometimes for me, being less rejuvenative and more just anxious because I'm like, I wanna be
I think
forward.
Any vacation where you're not just being a complete slob.
True.
You're not rejuvenating, you're not recharging the batteries. You're doing other things, and it's taking up all that creative energy you were hoping to build up. So that's what happened to us, and it was a great family vacation. We were happy that we went. It was just poorly timed. We didn't get anything done. We kind of fell off of our content schedule, which we'll talk about in a bit here. So it was just I just wanted to bring it up of like, if you're building something to launch something, just don't put a vacation in the middle of it if you can.
Or if you do though, what I do think we did well from that is we recognized kind of when we got there, we were like, okay, this is gonna be, we wanna give ourselves fully and be present to spending time with family. So it's okay if things slide. Like it's okay if we don't get a blog post up every day. It's okay if we have to scoot things around a little bit. And we just kind of gave ourselves that permission to be like, listen, we're gonna practice what we preach. We're not just gonna like halt life and be like, hey family that we only get to see a couple times a year, we're actually gonna go into our room and just work on our laptops for the whole week. Yeah. So, I'm glad that we at least followed through on our, like what we said we would do.
Telsa. I always say Telsa. I don't know where that started, but...
Again,
Guys, we bought a zoo.
We bought a Tesla, which I almost said Telsa because Jason mispronounces it, and this is one of those occasions where he mispronounces it enough times that in my head, I always see a Tesla and I think to myself, a Telsa. I'm
also working on some subliminal messaging for other things around the house. Like, I've noticed you're picking a lot more stuff up, and it's just because I whisper when you're asleep, pick stuff up around the house, pick stuff up around the house. I want to pick stuff up around the house.
I really want to pick stuff up around the house.
I know you do. So we are super excited. We are Tesla owners, finally. I've been a big fan of Tesla since they started, since the Roadster, and I just wanted to support this company in any way that we could, and it was good timing for us because we've had our SUV that is very boring and standard and not eco-friendly for 5 years now, and so it has really run its course, and it's getting to that place where you can just feel that like it's rumbling and tumbling a little bit, so we need to kind of put her out to pasture.
And God. Well,
by that I mean sell it to CarMax.
Also, for those of you who kind of don't know how the Tesla Model 3 process works, which is what we bought a Model 3, we reserved it like 2 years ago.
Yeah, so the night that it was announced that they were doing Model 3 reservations, we reserved that night. So we put $1,000 down, waited 2 years and have been following the process. And we were actually okay with that. I mean, I kind of went into it with the intention of, listen, this is not like a Kickstarter, thing that's going to take a year. This is a car. And it ended up actually getting done faster than some of the Kickstarter things I've backed by there,
which is funny. But it was a weird timing thing for us where probably financially at the time we made the reservation, it wasn't a good time for us actually to take on that car payment. So our car that we have now is paid off. So it was great that we didn't have a car payment. But we kind of said, okay, we know this is going to be a couple years out. Let's put the money down. If we're still not in a good financial place, we can always cancel the reservation or do whatever. However, when it came up, we talked about it we knew that when they were mass producing these, that they were going to come out pretty soon. And so we had many a budget meeting. As you guys know, we do a budget meeting every week. So many of those conversations the past 5 months have been about this whole Tesla thing. And finally, when we got the email, your reservation is ready. We decided to do it.
And the funny part is that we had just gotten our reservation postponed by 2 or 3 months. And because you can check to see your little date window. And so we were talking about, I was like, okay, that's actually good for us because we're about to launch Wandering Aimfully.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we don't know exactly what our cash situation is going to be like. So this is good. And then of course, a week later, it was like, oh, by the way, you're not postponed anymore. You're available. So we bit the bullet and we're excited. The reason why we kind of want to bring this up, not just to say we bought a Tesla and that's super fancy, but because it's really going to become a part of the content that we create here on YouTube, which is we want to do a segment called Tesla Tuesdays. We used to have a segment called Tiguan Tuesdays. You can find those videos in the archives of YouTube. But just things about owning a Tesla, living the kind of electric car life, and just hopefully having some fun with it. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, but tell them the really cool part about it.
What's the really cool part?
So fine. Yes, it's cool
that we have teamwork. I saved something for you.
Yes, it's cool that we have an electric car, but we don't think that's going to be. We don't think that's going to be the most interesting part for you guys. Our main goal is to use products that we have sort of been sitting on. So mainly my Better Branding course that we haven't really tried to promote in a long time, and see if we can make some business tweaks to that product in order to cover our car payment. So it's kind of a mixture, as we like to do, of lifestyle stuff. So we can tell you what it's kind of like having an electric car and moving over that part of our lifestyle, and this thing that we've loved and wanted for a long time, but with a business twist, because if any of you guys out there have maybe a product or an idea that you've been sitting on, but you haven't really optimized it to its full potential, maybe some of the things that we do and share with you guys can work for you as well. And maybe there's something that you can save for, like a vacation or
a house, a mortgage, you could do all kinds of stuff.
A car, and use this, again, we like to gamify things. So use this as a way to gamify your products that are sitting dormant and turn them into something that can benefit your lifestyle.
So Tesla Tuesdays coming soon to this channel.
Guys?
It was touch and go for a little while there.
It's been an interesting couple of days.
I made the joke of just I think I'm just going to give all this up and just go back to running my Tumblr site. That's it. I'm just going to revert back all the way to 2008.
I think that was last night or this morning when we were going down every avenue we could to troubleshoot, and you were like, I'm just going to go back to Tumblr.
I'm just going back to
Tumblr.
So
to clue you guys in on the process, those of you that have been watching these videos, we were planning to do a pre-order this whole time. We're big believers in pre-orders. We think it's important to test your processes and get a couple of, diehard users into whatever product you're building. And that was our intention all along. We ran into a couple of snags, mainly due to the fact that we're building this entire thing custom. So there's a lot of development stuff, and we also, let's just be honest, PayPal has been the bane of our existence.
PayPal's the worst.
It was important to us to also offer PayPal as a payment option. This is from actual real customer data of doing Buy Our Future for the past couple of years, and many, many, many people have asked for a PayPal option. We've had a manual workaround for that.
Not for Buy Our Future. Buy Our Future's always had PayPal.
No, but we wanted...
For other things.
Yes, for other things. And so we wanted to make sure that PayPal was incorporated into our payment process for Wandering Aimfully, and it is proving to be difficult.
I think what could be interesting for you watching this is to be like, okay, well, how did you guys determine that you were willing to go through all the loops and hoops to get PayPal in? Because with Buy Our Future, we used Gumroad. PayPal is built right in. You just add your PayPal email address. They take care of the rest. It's great. It's really easy.
Completely.
So why didn't we just keep using Gumroad going forward for Wandering Aimfully? The problem is there's not enough that Gumroad can do to do the things we want to do on the back end, our dashboard that we're building for our members with all of our courses and content, all this crazy stuff. We needed something that was more integrated into WordPress, which is what we're building on. So we needed to grow beyond Gumroad, and also the analytics of Gumroad are not great, and it's just kind of hard to keep up with. Anywho, so we're using Restrict Content Pro, which we've talked a little bit about before, but how we kind of quantify going, all right, we're willing to go through the loops and hoops to get PayPal into this because it does take a lot more work than just like Stripe adding a couple things, is that half of the Buy Our Future payments, I believe, and have tried to look at and followed along with, have come from PayPal.
Exactly.
And to quantify that, that's over $200,000 over the years. So that's a lot of money to go, hey, you know what? Like, we're okay to push that aside. No, that's too much. It's too much to push aside.
Truthfully, Jason brought this up to me the other night because we were just hitting our heads against a wall, going down every potential avenue that we could find in order to get done what we needed to get done on the back end. And I said, Jace, this is like causing us so much stress. Let's just not have PayPal. Let's just call it a day. Just do Stripe, process credit cards that way. And Jason was like, okay, but let me just put this into numbers for you. If we're quantifying that over 2 years like we did with Buy Our Future, that's $200,000 in revenue. And I was like, let's probably just work like a little bit harder to like make it happen.
And I think it's just an interesting thing to put in perspective of, it's 48 hours of difficult work that we've kind of been through, and not even 48 hours straight. It's basically probably like 10 hours each day. That's it.
Yeah.
And if we get it right, it hopefully makes that experience of making that money totally fine going forward. Like, we don't have to do everything to make that work.
But I think the important lesson for you guys out there is like, usually if you're gonna do stuff like this, you're going to encounter some type of technical difficulty where, as Jason and I put it, you encounter something that's above your pay grade, where you're like, I just don't know how to do this. I don't know how to link these things together. I don't know how to make this process work. And you're probably going to encounter a scenario where you just wanna throw up your hands and go, it's too hard. Like, it's too complicated. I don't know what I'm doing. But I would just encourage you to keep going and to ask for help. So that's been a big thing, is like, okay, we've done every avenue we can with our knowledge set, but have we asked our developers? Have we asked people on Twitter? Have we asked people in Buy Our Future right now? And just trying to use those people resources, because people out there know things that you don't know. So that's my like spiel about pushing forward when you encounter those technical things.
So a couple things to leave you with as we talk about our pre-orders and this process. Number one thing that we try and tell people when they come to us and they're like, how do I build a thing? We go, don't try and automate everything first. Be okay with some manual processes. We didn't even take this advice ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's just like the human nature, especially we've been doing this for years. So we have the sunk cost bias of like, we've done this before. We know how to do it. We can set it up and automate it. It'll be fine. No, we can't. It's a whole brand new thing that has all these new different moving parts. We should have just been okay with doing it manually, because that would have worked from the beginning. We wouldn't have had to go through 2 days of all this nonsense, but we did. And so where we ended up was with a manual process. So with PayPal payments, we still have to do something manually because we bought a little add-on to Restrict Content Pro. It doesn't actually work with PayPal right now, but the founder of it is helping us get that sorted out, so that'll all be fine. But that's just to illustrate the point of, even us who have a lot of experience doing these things, we preach doing things manually before automating them. We didn't even do that. And so we're idiots, and it happens, and you just have to go, you know what? Let's stick with manual. We're doing 30 pre-order spots so we can handle inputting 30 people's information. We're gonna do timed launches. So that's also why we're doing once a month launches, is so we can do the same thing going forward if we have to. And the other thing that I wanted to say is the first person who bought our pre-order bought with PayPal.
That is the absolute truth.
And shout out to Nikki May, who was our very first paying Wandering Aimfully member, which is super cool.
Yeah.
So she gets access to almost nothing right now because, again, we're very manual in this process. We don't have everything worked out, but it's very cool to see that people are buying in. And Nikki, we're so excited that you're the first person to buy this membership.
That was another thing I wanted to bring up too, is just a reminder that, you know, our dashboard isn't done yet. And we made that very clear to our pre-order people, but they're so invested in the mission behind Wandering Aimfully and the fact that they do get access to all of our courses right away and all of this, that they're still willing to be the first people online, and they're going to get the dashboard experience before any of the, you know, public facing people do as well. So it's kind of cool. I like to say that by pre-ordering, you kind of get that backstage pass right before we carry the ball over the finish line, which is like two mixed metaphors, but you get it.
Oh, cool.
So I think that's the coolest part, is you know, they're getting to come on as we actually finally get this thing going, as things get even more technical. So if you're somebody who wants to benefit from seeing behind the scenes of something really technical and a little bit more advanced than just starting a business, I think that's really valuable. But it's a perfect lesson out there to you guys that like, this belief that you have in your head of like, it all has to be perfect and it all has to be done before I can offer pre-orders is not the case.
It's also impossible. It's design time, ladies and gentlemen. So it's actually been design time on and off through this Wandering Aimfully process, especially if you've been reading our blog post. We had a whole week dedicated to design. We had a whole week dedicated to branding. So it's not anything new. However, we are kind of at the place now where there's a big chunk of design that needs to be done, and that is the Wandering Aimfully site itself. So we've done the back end stuff. We've done all the branding. I say we, it's Caroline. But now Caroline's gonna move into the front-facing website, which is our homepage, our about page, the sales page, the podcast/show page. All these things are coming up, and they need to be done by tomorrow.
Yeah,
would be great.
So I gotta go.
I'm fine.
Really?
Absolutely. I'm fine.
No, it's really exciting. For me, the design stuff is what gets me. We were just talking about this earlier at lunch. Like, you know, when you're in the weeds with stuff, when you're kind of in all the technical things, you were saying it's really easy to lose sight of your vision.
Yeah.
Like, it's really easy to just focus on the challenges and to lose sight of the excitement of starting something new and why you're doing it and why it's awesome. Excuse me. And for me, when I have those moments, I go back to the design and the branding and stuff because visually that gets me really inspired and really excited. So I'm actually really thrilled to get back into design mode, to design a beautiful website that is custom. You get a little taste of it on the pre-order page.
Yep.
Which is really fun. And it's also, I hope for you guys that have followed us from the beginning of this build process, it's kind of fun to see how the original branding has like evolved forward a little bit.
Yep.
It's still very much the brand that I showed you guys in the, I think, first or second week of the blog post, but you can see how like I swapped out some of the fonts to better serve us on the front facing website, and the customer dashboard is even a little bit different. So it's, for me as a design geek, it's just been fun to see that evolution.
Yeah, and I thought it might be interesting to just share with you guys how our process is working with the design stuff. So Caroline is pushing all of the pixels around. I'm not pushing any pixels. I don't do anything. But I kind of look at myself as like co-creative director, and a lot of the times what I think I bring to any project is just being able to see or have an idea of how something could be different, how something could stand out from the rest, and to just push that along. Because a lot of times when you're thick in the design of things, you tend to lose sight of like, oh, let me just do this kind of an easier way and not force myself to do this, you know,
or even
really uniquely.
the first way that comes to my mind, or like one thing in the design process, you know, if I'm really in it and I'm thinking about layout, because I'm like, okay, we need to say these things, and so I know we're gonna probably need an image and some text and whatever, it's very easy for me then to get locked into that. So then Jason comes along and he's like, okay, but what if you flipped this? Like, what if this was more horizontal instead of vertical? What if these things moved? What if we did a small animation here that would be different than what you normally see? And we've talked about, that's our process on a lot of things. So same with video. If he comes in and he edits and he does the majority of the editing, I'm able to then play that co-creative director role, come in with fresh eyes and go, yeah, what if we did it this way?
We need a random Back to the Future clip right now. That's what you need. You just what you do.
I think you guys would agree that really elevated the video. So.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's just, it's an interesting part of the way that we work through this design process. And I'm also just really excited for this site because I'm really trying to push us both to make it just feel very unique. And it's so easy to design something that's beautiful or simple, but it can kind of blend in with the crowd of all the websites on the internet, as opposed to building something like, wow, that's a little bit different. I haven't seen anything like that before.
As the girl who's been playing around with Squarespace sites for the past 5.5 years, it's really hard to do that because you just are so locked in on what those templates are and what those basic elements are. So it's been a really awesome kind of creative challenge for me to break out of that box and go, okay, is there something different I can do here besides, you know, a text block or whatever? So
I will bring up, if you are curious to see some of these designs before the rest of the world, the Wandering Aimfully email list will probably get some sneak peeks. So go to wanderingaimfully.com, shameless plug, sign up for our email list if you want to see some of these designs before the rest of the world.
And if you are watching this video before May 9th,
Ooh.
then you can check out the pre-order page, which will also give you an idea of kind of what the website might kind of look like.
So one thing I wanted to kind of wrap this weekly check-in up is something that you've been bringing up that I've been trying to challenge you on.
Yes.
And I think this is really great when you're working with someone, is that you can have these things come together and one person can feel a certain way and you can get another person's perspective. And then hopefully if you were afraid of something, it can twist that. Or if I was afraid of something, you can twist and change it. So I think for you, what you've really been worried about is that we haven't put out as much content video-wise, blog post-wise, as we were putting out in the very beginning of this process of building Wandering Aimfully.
Yeah, and that feeling really really comes from this place of, I felt like we were in such a good place of momentum. So with this daily consistency kind of thing leading up to before our vacation, I felt like people were checking in all the time and were so invested in the process. And my fear was that in taking that step back and kind of getting off of that consistency train, that people then, their attention wanders and they go, oh, who else is doing something that's more new or more interesting? And I'm sure there is some of that, but
for sure.
You were challenging me to say that may be true, but also there's something to be said for taking a step back and giving your audience a chance to miss your content and a chance to experience, you know, what it's like when they don't have that Wandering Aimfully post in their inbox every day and, oh, do I miss it? Or do I wish that they would have more videos? Like, we were getting a couple of comments in the Buyer Future Slack of people that were like, oh, when are the check-ins coming back? When's the next unedited meeting? And you know, I definitely can see your point in that.
Yeah, well, and I think the data also is something that really helps me in these types of discussions where, I mean, we have a couple hundred followers on Instagram, we have a couple hundred subscribers on YouTube, and we have almost 500 people on our email list. The one of those things that's the most important to me is the email list.
Yes.
So we sent out a survey this Monday when we got home. It was a super simple one-question survey. 200 people filled out that survey. So
within like 30 minutes.
Yeah, so for me, that tells me that like, no matter how much we've stopped posting content, everyone's still really excited about that. Getting 50% of people to fill out a survey on an email list is insane. That's you guys are amazing. And that just shows me that like social media is great, YouTube is great, all this stuff is great, but if you still have that captive audience in email, even if you're not sending them all the updates every day, as you mentioned, they're still interested. So I think you let the data also show you, like you send a quick email with a one-question survey or what have you, you see a bunch of people responding and giving you a lot of feedback, then you know, like, okay, I still had their attention. That's a limiting belief of myself that because I slowed down, it's okay. So
yeah, and there's something to be said for, I just lost my train of thought.
Where'd you go?
Like it just
There's something to be said for ceiling fans, like really good ceiling fans, something to be said for
Has
them.
that ever happened to you? Like it flew out of my head. Like I was like, maybe you just talked too long. I was just like,
also, what's one of my biggest pet peeves in life?
Telling you.
Crappy ceiling fans. You know this about me.
Like on the Newlywed Game, like I would have lost that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, guys, this is it.
I almost said listening to people's dream stories, but that's my roommate from college, Britt. That's her biggest pet peeve. She hates listening to dream stories. Okay, we were talking about, come on, it was a good point. We did this before.
Yeah, okay, let's wrap up.
No! What were we talking about?
We were talking about the drop-off of attention and content and those things.
Oh, yeah. And then you were saying that you need the data to back you up. And then you were saying, nope, lost it.
Hey, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for watching. If you want more videos, just click the subscribe button. You know how to do it.
If I remember...
subscribe is what I just said.
Subscribe. If I remember my thought, I will post it in the comments. For those of you...
your own comment. Now I really hope you remember it.
For those of you that are like, cliffhanger.
Yeah, whoa.
For the two of you that are like, cliffhanger.
All right, Doc Brown, say goodnight.
Send us off. What?